of neck wear, whether that's a straight tie, an open collar, or maybe none of the above. There's an inmate in the Tennessee prison system named Michael Haycraft. He is married. He met his wife Beth in a prison in Virginia. And Beth Haycraft is we have her on the phone now to tell about the denial in April of Michael's petition for parole. He was requesting parole, and he was denied. He's a man who has a problem called dissociative identity disorder that used to be called, as Beth has explained to me, multiple personality disorder. So it's a very complex problem, and has not done him well in a period of incarceration in Tennessee. One that his wife said is set to be come to its end in 2020. Well, Beth, tell my listener about the Tennessee Board of Paroles and what was the plea Michael Haycraft, who is in Morgan County Correctional Complex, what did he make in the way of petition, and what was the result of the refusal to grant parole?
The refusal to grant parole was based upon Michael getting a Class A write-up while he was in the therapeutic community program. He was 14 days away from graduation. He was found in another unit that was not atypical for people in therapeutic community. However, the counselor had decided to treat Michael differently than other people. Most people who were in the program and caught out of place, they received, an in-house write-up, which was a verbal warning, don't do this again, or they were given maybe 30 days extra in the program. And this particular counselor decided to take this personally. And he had told Michael that he would have him thrown out of the program. And instead of him writing him up as out of place, he put that as refusal to participate, which is a Class A write-up. That is the highest write-up that you can get.
That's the biggest demerit. That's the biggest demerit that he could have gotten, the biggest blot on his record.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Michael had never had a write-up. The only thing that he had done since his incarceration in 2014 was they were in a food line and someone handed him an extra tray, and that was a Class C write-up. But it was a verbal warning, don't do that again, which is ridiculous in itself. But the Class A write-up, with this category, that's the same as if somebody has murdered somebody in prison, raped somebody in prison, whatever. It's in the same category, this refusal to participate. That's wrong. And so this Class A write-up was the basis that the parole board made to deny him parole. This was the third time that he had been denied parole.
And why is he in prison?
Why is he in prison? Because of the dissociative identity disorder, he had caught a charge in Dyer County, which had to do with the destruction of property and theft. That was in 2006. That he had no memory of, none. While he was in a episode in 2013, he was away from our home at the time. People, when they're having a mental health episode, a lot of times they're very easy to manipulate. He was taken by a group to Sullivan County, Tennessee, to a Walmart, and he was accused of shoplifting. And the whole group got charged. And I have the police report that states that Michael did not take anything out of the store. And yet he was the one that was charged with theft.
Was that felony theft or misdemeanor theft?
When we initially went to, the initial charge was $500, theft of $500. The first time we appeared in court, the charges had changed to theft over $1,000 and conspiracy.
And what happened then? How was the case disposed by the jury or the judge?
It was a matter of plea bargains. That is something that is very common. What happens is that the defense attorney goes in, they meet with the district attorney, and the district attorney says, okay, I will give them a lesser charge if they agree to this. Whereas if they go in front of a jury, they will stand to serve more time if they lose the case. So it's gambling is what it is. And so Michael had agreed to a sentence that was with Dyer County had told him if he was incarcerated for a year, paid back all fines and restitutions, that he could, that they would release him. And Sullivan County had handwritten something that was not, made open in court at the time of his sentencing that said he was not to be considered for any kind of early release. I do not understand how a county can overturn the court decision of another county, but that's what happened. And so he was sentenced to 6 years at 35% from Sullivan County that was supposed to be served consecutively with the sentence from Dyer County. But because of what the Sullivan County court did, that imposed a 10-year sentence from Dyer County at 35%, which would have been, 3.5.
Well, you have to serve 35% of your 10-year sentence before you can get parole.
Yes. Plus, he had already had, credit from where he had served before in Dyer County.
Well, tell my listener, Beth Haycraft, how you met Michael. You were a former corrections officer. You were working in the employee state of Virginia up until 2011. You had been in that profession, and you met Michael in a prison. Say something about that. It's an unusual story of love and trial and tribulation as a married couple separated by the bars.
I was a corrections officer at a regional jail, which was actually a privately owned facility, and Michael was a trustee. And I had already, applied for a job as a mental health counselor at a local youth center, and at some point he had approached me, and it was a God thing from the beginning because I was very much policy procedure right down the line. And I simply fell in love with this man. And even though I was no longer working for the facility or as a corrections officer in any way, they did retaliate against us when they found out about the relationship, which consisted of writing letters at that point. And there is this amazing bigotry towards inmates by a lot of people who work in the corrections industry. And it is an industry. And there is a hatred by a lot of officers and stuff towards inmates. They view themselves as better than the inmates. I have seen a lot of abuse, verbal abuse. I never saw physical abuse, but I heard about it where I worked. It's...
You asked a question about that.
Yeah.
I'm not understanding. Are you saying that there's a prejudice against inmates who have personal relationships with officers, or there's just generally a low regard for prisoners? I mean,
both.
Okay. Well, you had a relationship, and you said they retaliated. The former colleagues in the prison retaliated against Michael Haycraft, who they knew had a relationship with you, their former colleague. You were now no longer in the jail business, and he received retaliation. What happened there, and how did y'all get married, and what happened to your move to Tennessee? Well, you're in Virginia still, but he's in Tennessee.
Right.
Explain a little bit more about your relationship.
At the time, he was transferred to another facility that was 2 hours from where I was. They refused me visitation. They refused us to be legally married. That could have been done over the phone. Marriage is something that gives somebody legal rights to do things for people, such as documentation, that needs to be done when somebody's incarcerated. I did get power of attorney, so I was able to do some of the legal work that needed to be done prior to his being released. It was an us versus them attitude. It very much is like that when you work in corrections. I understand that what we did was against policy. As far as, while I was in uniform, I did not even hold his hand. I simply fell in love with the man. But because I had fallen in love with one of them, I was treated just terribly. The people that I thought were my colleagues and my friends for 3 years would not even speak to me after that.
While you were still on the payroll?
Oh, no, this was after I was on payroll.
Okay. Well, how is it that dissociative identity disorder is handled in Tennessee prisons? There are not many inmates who have that condition. What's involved in that? How do you cure yourself of it? How do you get counseling for it? How do you get spiritual advice and encouragement in it, Beth Haycraft?
Right. There's actually dissociative identity disorder is not that rare. It's just that it's not usually diagnosed properly. And with any mental illness within the Tennessee system, it's very much not treated other than medication given to people. And that's not proper medication management. But as far as individual counseling, which is vital to dissociative identity disorder, Michael has not had that available to him at all.
Well, how is this condition going to worsen while he's behind bars until 2020 in Tennessee?
That is my concern. And when Michael was expelled from the therapeutic community, he was placed in protective custody because that officers at Morgan County totally dropped the ball on that. And he was threatened by gang members because of their actions. And protective custody in Tennessee is almost the same as if he were in maximum security. He is locked down 23 to 24 hours a day. Even when he was transferred to the Tarney Center, where he currently is, he is still in protective custody. And
that's ostensibly for his own good, right? It's protective to protect him, but it is really punitive because of your lack of liberty.
Yes, very much so. I know that he has said that there are certain officers that if he goes to see mental health for medication management or whatever that is, that they will even cuff him behind his back. There's no point in that. He has never had any kind of violent charge against him, and he certainly has not done anything to deserve that type of treatment where he is currently.
Well, what kind of life do you plan to lead, Beth Haycraft, when he is released? What kind of man is he going to be as a husband or a provider? Do you have young children in the home, Beth?
No. My youngest is 19. It is a matter of trying to work to get him mental health therapy. That needs to be in place before he is released. When Michael and I got married, he had no idea that he had any kind of mental disorder. The dissociative identity disorder came from severe childhood abuse. And when he is one of the alters, there are 3 that we have identified at this point, there is not shared memory, which is why he did not, remember what had happened in Dyer County. He has not reported any missing time for probably about 1.5 years now. We're hoping that there is something that's called integration of the alters, which means that they would be whole. And, that comes through individual personalized therapy from somebody who understands about dissociative identity disorder. There are some counselors within TDOC that do have experience with this. But it's a matter of him being able to talk to these people on a regular basis.
Is his remedy or cure in the nature of psychology, or is it in the nature of religion, Beth Haycraft?
I think it's both. Because, we have scripture that said Christ came to heal the brokenhearted. And that when that says that in scripture, it's a matter of brokenness of spirit, which is exactly what dissociative identity disorder is. When a child is horrifically abused, DID occurs to protect the child while they are going through the horrors. And so it is our very much belief that God will heal him of this. Now, God uses counselors and different people like that during the healing process.
And counselors, you are suggesting, have knowledge of the individual heart and mind, or you might say psychology or psychiatry, and they are trying to mend the broken spirit.
Absolutely.
That he has.
There are a lot of wonderful Christian therapists out there that can do both.
My number is 800-8949. That's 800-8949. David Tools here. We're brought to you by yournews.com. And you're hoping then, Beth, that he'll come out of the Tennessee prison system. You say he's attorney. He was at Morgan County Correctional Complex. Right, he's now in another one. That he'll come out in 2 years or so since he's been denied parole, and that he'll be able to find work and be a provider. Are you employed? How do you make a living? How do you support yourself, Beth? And how will he support himself in terms of calling or profession?
Well, Michael was already applying for disability prior to incarceration. Until we are sure that he can function, he cannot be left alone, which that very much narrows my options and alternatives as far as employment. I can't leave him by himself. And so it is a matter of the role will be caretaker.
Caretaker of your husband, you're saying?
Yes.
Who's a man in his late 30s? How old is Michael?
Oh, he's 42.
Well, does he have gifts like wood crafting or painting or things he can do at home that are creating a value for other people?
Yes. Yes, those are skills and stuff like that as far as trying to do some kind of home-based business to where that we will have income for ourselves. When he got sick, I lost my job as a mental health counselor, but during that period of time, I have worked very diligently as advocate for him and other people who have mental illness and are in the system with, in Tennessee. It's different here in Virginia.
Well, it seems that the idea of prison is ungodly, because if there is a crime, let's say a theft, the Bible would warrant that there be restitution and then either some percentage beyond that, maybe 15 or 20%, depending on what it was that was taken and the conditions under which the criminal was apprehended. And so restitution in the Bible is the end of the crime. Once the money's been restored or the goods have been restored, it's done. And there is not this isolation and segregation in an impersonal institution that really can't care for anybody and cannot rehabilitate anybody. I have regular correspondence with Glenda Harmer in Morgan County, and the system is a disaster of bureaucracy. And the individual soul it just has to fend for itself. A man cannot have connection with hardworking, productive, good people. And you are often among the very worst kind of people in society in the prison. It is a school for crime in many ways, I'm told, and also a school for the Mohammedan religion as well, Beth Haycraft.
Yes. I have a lot of respect for Mr. Harmer because he has worked diligently to try to get this system changed. And he's very much on these people as far as what they're doing against policy, procedure. I don't think any of these people understand what they are doing within the system as far as how it breaks down individuals, breaks down families, even as far as the parole board. Until somebody on the parole board has actually done time as an inmate and sees things from that perspective, they have no idea what they are sentencing families and individuals to. They don't realize how much damage and harm that they are doing.
Well, this is David Tools, and Beth Haycraft, thanks for talking with me. Just quickly, what is your website so that my listener might find out more about you and your ministry, the Beth Haycraft Ministries? What is the address?
Sure. Well, it's a matter of you can go to YouTube and type in Haycraft Ministries. I have a daily ministry moment. You can contact me at haycraftministries@gmail.com.
haycraftministries@gmail.com. And Beth Haycraft, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you, sir.
From the radio 927, I know I've got some important messages to do with and patronize our sponsors.
3, 2, 1.
Chattanooga Radio, Digital FM 95.3 HD4, 92.7 FM's news now.
A woman fell from the wild lightning at Lake Winnie. Investigators tell the TFP that a 42-year-old fell from the roller coaster around 2 p.m. and they're not sure why. A park spokeswoman said they've launched their own internal investigation. Jonathan A. Walker was sentenced to 4 years in prison for killing 6 children in the deadly Woodmore bus crash. Yesterday, a judge denied a motion to reduce his sentence. Walker's attorney